Good evening, folks, and welcome to this week's edition of Schmoedown Night in Canada. It's your friendly neighborhood soda here, taking the helm for tonight's episode, because apparently there's a lot of people that need pizza, and Lou needs to sleep. So joining me tonight, he's coming out from behind the curtain, our main man, our producer, Mr. Leaves Me Alone himself, Dave. How's it going, Dave?
I'm doing great, Soda. I'm excited to be on the show. Breaking the fourth wall a little bit here. We had a great week of Schmoedown related stuff happening on the channel.
Yes, we do, and I can't wait. I honestly can't wait to share it with you guys. It was.
Wait a minute. That's going to actually drop first. So that's already happened.
Oh, well, fair enough. Hopefully you guys watched our interview with the one and only John the Outlaw Roca. That honestly was a highlight for me. I respect the guy very much, and I'm still running on Cloud 9 the day after we recorded it.
It was a great interview. You guys should definitely check it out. Figure out if I do, in fact, look like the energy-sucking vampire from What We Do in the Shadows. Yeah. Somebody thinks I do.
Yeah, and a little bit of a spoiler, Dave does get into it with Roca.
You know, he has some wrong opinions about some things. He's got some wrong opinions.
Man, so hopefully everyone has checked it out or is going to check it out, man, because it was a blast. It was a blast. Roca is the man. Okay, so this week's match was a tag match between two new teams making their debut. You've got Rogue 2, the team of Liz Shannon Miller and Adam Hlavik, against, I should probably say of Swag, against the Rockstars, the Wicked, Jim Vejvoda and Jared Habon, named because the two of them plus their manager are all Bostonians. So what do you think of the match, Dave? Was there anything that stood out for you?
You know, I was really excited to see this. I'm a guy who has been, ever since Vejvoda had that run with IGN, then top that, I've been a guy saying he's someone, if he could commit, could make an amazing. So I was really excited to see him get drafted and then play. Liz Shannon Miller is a phenomenal rookie from last year who I think is on the cusp of breaking through. And then seeing two IG guys go into teams, I was excited to see where that was going to go. And I thought that this match really delivered.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I was also excited to see Vejvoda because it's been a year and a half since we've seen him play. So I wanted to see if there was, any rust on or whatever. And unfortunately, there was rust for him in round one. And Jared Habon, he's only been known as an intergeekdom player before this. So it's kind of interesting to see how well he would do. And he did okay. He's got some work to do, but, he held his own.
Oh, for sure he did. And it's interesting, and I know we're going to get down a little bit more match by match, round by round, see what sticks out. But it's interesting to see that this was another match where we saw an intergeekdom slice get spun on the wheel. That's happened an enormous amount, and I know everyone made a big deal about it during the corruption match. But if you look back how this season has gone, I am hard pressed to think of more than a couple of matches where an IG slice has not been on the wheel.
It's something I've never really noticed because I've always looked at those IG slices as just regular movie slices. It's not something I personally have ever paid attention to.
Nobody ever paid attention to it until this season, apparently.
Yeah, because I guess that's when it's such a big deal and everyone's brought it up. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just get right into the match. Round one started off, and you know what? Rogue 2 really over-delivered for me. Mm-hmm. Going 14 points, neither one of them going perfect, but still 14 is nothing to scoff at. And when you're both putting up 7 points, especially when Hlavik hasn't played in teams in 3 seasons now.
Yeah, both that, yeah.
It's really impressive to see him just get back into the regular competition and be in fighting form.
Yeah, no doubt. It was he didn't have any rust when it comes to that, which was really impressive. And Liz Shannon Miller was just continuing her on her role that she had last year. So it was just another day at the office for those two.
Yeah, it was really impressive to me when I started seeing Hlavik answering certain things with the confidence that he had. Because I expected, and I talked about this in a couple other chats where me and some friends were talking about Schmoedown, before this match, I was saying, you know what, the real determining factor is going to be, can Hlavik hold his own? Mm-hmm. Can he pull through? And he did fantastic, just impressed the hell out of me, which I can't say, unfortunately, for Jared Habon. Only scoring 4 points in the first round in the current team's climate is unacceptable.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. When it comes to Jared, for me, he delivered just around where I thought he would be, like around 4 or 5 points. Yeah, what I actually found surprising was it came off as if he wasn't taking it seriously. You know what I mean? Like he was a fan playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. He definitely he definitely had a lot more like a, what am I even doing here type vibe.
Yeah. Where along the lines, like when it comes to the road too, like you could tell they were focused, but you know, they were relaxed. Like it is what it is. And they had a good symmetry together. Whereas the Wicked, I felt that it wasn't quite there yet.
I agree with that. And I think that comes from the rust that you were talking about earlier. Mm. Vejvoda, in terms of his knowledge, obviously showed up to play, but having that chemistry and that fire inside you for when you playing, I think that's where the rust really showed through.
Yeah, no kidding, because his last teammate on IGN/Top That was Eric Goldman, who worked with him for a long time. So I mean, they had that pre-built relationship before. So it definitely, like when it came to like team chemistry and whatever, that was there. Whereas opposed to this, it needs a little work.
It was a little off. Now, not to take anything away, I think that Roxy as a manager is someone who can whip these two together and get them into fighting form. They're just not quite there yet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, 100% right. I mean, look at it. They were one question away from from not getting knocked out. So, I mean, it wasn't that bad. Mm-hmm. That bad of a debut. Oh, before we go on, what did you think of the pre-game little shtick that Winston did? That made me laugh. Oh, I thought that was wicked awesome.
It was wicked smart.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I was really impressed. I was just like, when Winston took the mic and was starting to do the bit, I had that moment that I think many fans have had this season, where it's like, oh my God, the managers are just making it all about them. Let's get to the game. Let's do this. You don't need your camera time right now. But then when the music kicks in, it gets down on one knee, mm-hmm. and then will you accept this out? And the swag song hits in again. I was like, that was perfect. That was everything I wanted.
I was disappointed in myself because it didn't click in right away that it was a parody on The Bachelor. Yeah, it's very interesting it seemed to rattle Roxy more than it rattled Jared. He gets up and he rips up Elle and stuff, yeah. But he just seemed like he was having a good time. Where Roxy, her face during the entire proposal, she's just slowly getting more and more like uncomfortable. Like, what is going on? Yeah, so yeah, it was pretty obvious that she didn't know going in what he was gonna do, and I like the little dig that Ellis threw at Habon, even though it did show just how far in advance these matches are taped. When he asked Habon who Tom Brady was going to sign with, because about a month ago he signed with Tom Brady, so it's like, okay, this match is old.
Yeah, it is always that thing where you look at the matches and you realize someone will make a comment about like going outside, and I'm like, oh, these sweet summer children, they don't even know. Yeah. They don't even know what's happening.
Oh yeah, beauty. I'm gonna be watching Tampa Bay closely this year. I'm actually started getting into football. So
oh yeah, like you know, a little off the Schmoedown path here, but Brady and Gronk both going to Tampa. Like, what's that about? Gronk's retired. He's coming out to come play.
And not just Tampa? That, he's the WWE 24/7 champion. He actually signed a contract with WWE a couple months ago. So yeah, he's kind of all over the place.
I think honestly that's a bad sign for his wrestling career that
Yeah.
he's going back to football.
Now, here's the funny thing about that title. The way it works is like it can be defended anywhere. It's like you could walk up to the champion on the street and pin him, whatever. So I've heard this before on the internet, and I kind of agree. It would be freaking hilarious is if one of the wrestlers came and pinned Gronk at a Tampa Bay practice.
That's funny. That's funny. Now, question. Let's bring it back to Schmoedown here for a second. Do you think that a 24/7 Schmoedown belt would be something that would be interesting? Because we see right now Ellis is going around in the Facebook videos doing 5 trivia questions here with like Mark and Ken. Or with, Rachel and the
Alex. Hitman. And Alex was in there also.
That's right. Now, could a 24/7 anytime, anywhere belt exist in the Schmoedown?
It could. It would have to be, to go with another wrestling trope, it would have to go along the line, or actually to go with a Schmoedown trope. Like with the free-for-all, how you can have your match whenever. It would, you could do it if you did it along those lines, like you just automatically, like, here's a 5-question round, I challenge you for it right now sort of thing. It could work.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. You say, all right, you have to have, you got to have Christian there. So Christian has like you bring Christian the briefcase and you're like, let's go. I'm going to challenge Dan Murrell. 7 questions in the pipe, winner take all.
Yeah, it could work. It actually would be an interesting twist. It would be a great way to, like, you could easily do some post or pre-match skits out of that. It would actually be pretty hilarious if it happened in the middle of a match. Right?
Yeah, I think, or even just as like supplemental content on the Patreon page and stuff. Not that we talk about that much here, but I think that would be an interesting thing to do.
Actually, that I would like to see. You know what? I wouldn't want to see it on the Patreon, even though I am a patron. I would want to see that on, like, just drop it on the Facebook page.
That would be interesting. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I think that would probably be the way to go about it.
All right, now let's get back to Rogue 2 versus the Wicked Smart team.
Yeah.
So what did you think of their round 2s?
Very, very strong on both counts. Honestly, I'm a little surprised at Hlavik missed the Swamp Thing question.
Yeah,
Like, I know it's a lesser known DC movie, but I still feel like Wes Craven directing a comic book movie is kind of a big deal. So I was surprised. And we can't not talk about this round 2 without talking biopics for the Wicked.
Now, do you think that even though they did very well, I don't want to be results oriented here. Do you think it was a smart decision to take biopics?
Yes. Because honestly, I think that would have been their best chance outside of DC movies, which we know was spun by the other team. Because Vejvoda is a very smart player. And so I think it was a good call on this time to go biopics.
See, I almost have the opposite reaction. And I see this a lot in other sports and other entertainment franchises. Anytime you have something to prove or a chip on your shoulder about any kind of embarrassment that you might have suffered, I feel like you're just setting yourself up to either over-deliver like they did here or make yourself look like a fool. And I feel like, without being completely results-oriented, I think that this was a flaw, and I hope that if they spin biopics again, they do it because they think that's the best thing that they can do, not because I'm out there with something to prove.
No, fair enough. I'm just happy they got it out of their system. So you think really it was just too much hubris on their part?
Not hubris, but I think when you're doing that, you're setting yourself up to get embarrassed. And I think we see this a lot in sports where a team will go up against a team that embarrassed them last time, and you hear all the locker room talk beforehand, and they're talking about we need to do this because last time we threw 3 interceptions or whatever on these guys, and we cannot let that happen again. I think playing to get the chip off your shoulder rather than just moving on is you're setting yourself up for yourself up to get embarrassed, and I think you're not playing in the moment. You're still taking a step back.
Well, yeah, yes and no. Like, I'm going to liken this to being a Canucks fan. The rivalry between the Blackhawks and the Canucks of the from 2009 to 2011. Like, going into 2011, Vancouver had a lot to prove because the last 2 years prior, the Blackhawks knocked them out of the playoffs. So, I mean, there really is nothing wrong going into a match or a series with something to prove. Even though, like, this is, to a lesser extent, it's just a category, but it can definitely bring out the best in people. So that's why I had no problem with it.
Yeah, and moving away from if they had decided, it almost seemed like from the video or from the tape that we were watching. I keep using videotape. What is this, 1987?
Yeah, you're not that old, Dave.
Yeah. When they're at the wheel and Roxy comes out to talk to them, it almost seemed like they had not had a conversation yet about what they should do, because it was a lot of posturing, like, I don't know. And then Roxy going, "We're taking back biopics." And I'm like, did you guys not have a conversation about what you wanted on the wheel yet? I think that's, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but it does set off some red flags for me.
It really did seem like she made the decision for them. Yeah, but I guess that's just what a manager does. I don't know, but yeah.
Who are we? We're just commentators.
Pretty much, yeah. We're just the peons, or as Bobby the Brain used to say, we're humanoids.
But still, very impressive round 2 for both of them. Rogue 2, I know we're talking a lot about the biopics, but doing that well in DC is really impressive. And I think that this is a strategy that we'll see them try to implement a lot, which is playing to Hlavic's strengths in round 2. Because we've seen Liz Shannon Miller has done pretty consistently well in the first round, but then has made some questionable strategy calls, like taking monster movies against Paul Oyama and then not understanding how broad it was going to be.
Yeah.
I think we'll see a lot of playing to Hlavic's strengths in this team going forward.
Yeah, and honestly, like, if you compare to both teams, because both have a singles established singles or teams player already with an Intergeekdom player, I think the meshing of the pair is better meshed, I guess, with Rogue 2 than it was with the Wicked. I think Liz Shannon Miller and Hlavic complement each other better.
Now, just to go off that for a second, is there a IG player right now who's not currently teamed up? So Hannah, Smets, Chandru, Emily Rose. Is there anyone there who you'd like to see form a team right now? And you think who you think you could do? And Parker, obviously.
You mean with an IG player?
Yeah, like, we're talking right now how there is an IG player and then another player. Do you think there's do you see any of the other IG players branching off into teams?
Yeah, actually, without going into spoilers, Smets, because I watched all the exhibition matches that they released, I think he would probably wreck house.
Is there someone in the dungeon you think that he could pair up nicely with?
I'm just trying to think who the non-IG players are in the dungeon.
Let's see.
It's all IG, pretty much.
We got the Butcher Boys. Oh, well, they don't got that many. Actually, I don't know if there's one in the dungeon for him to team up with.
Yeah.
Because we got the Butcher Boys and what's Drew's team name? Cuckoo's Mess.
Yeah.
So that's for. Then he's got Zipper told us in the interview that him and Adam Witt are going to be teaming up. So that's another couple players off the board.
There's really no one left from the team.
No, there really isn't.
But if you could get him to team with somebody, man, I wouldn't want to face them. It'd be like facing Road Warriors circa 1985. Like, it would just be brutal. Mm-hmm. It would be a beating. Again, no spoilers for the exhibition matches, but based off what I saw there, yeah, Smets would kill.
Yeah. All right. Let's go into round 3, and then we can talk about all the wrap up here.
Yep, for sure. Yep, go ahead.
So Jared Habon getting romantic comedies, I thought was an interesting choice, especially the way he was rolling his eyes at the category. But then as he heard it, you could kind of see the smile creeping over his mouth. He's like, I know this one.
Yeah, which I'm not surprised that he would have seen a lot of rom-coms just based on who his wife is. So yeah, no, that was a pretty decent one for him. Nice, right up his alley. The musicals one, the 3-pointer though, I was actually surprised that they would have missed that.
I wasn't, and the reason behind it is the add-in of MCU actor. Because I know Dominic Cooper is in the MCU.
Yep.
Because he played Howard Stark in Captain America: First Avenger.
And Agent Carter.
Correct. But when you think MCU actor and you hear that little adage there, you don't think Dominic Cooper. He's not the first guy you go to just because he's only in the one movie. So the Stellan Skarsgård guess is a lot more understandable of a guess if you think about it in those terms, just because Dominic Cooper is not, I don't think of him as an MCU actor. I think of him he's been in more Mamma Mia movies than he has MCU movies.
That's fair enough, but with the way the question was worded, I kind of thought it was obvious.
That's true. I think you got to know.
Did it ask for the Sophie's husband, Sky?
It did.
Yeah, whereas opposed if it was Sophie's stepdad, that would be Stellan Skarsgård, right? That's why I'm surprised he missed that one.
But that does take into consideration, or you're making an assumption here that he knows who the hell Sophie is.
Well, I mean he's a critic. I'm assuming that's a movie he would have seen.
That's fair, but
granted, it's probably a movie that if he even saw it, he saw it once and whatnot. And I'm a musical fiend, so it was nothing for me personally.
But then their 5-pointer, I was scratching my head. That's a movie I really enjoy, but it's not one I could have sat there for you could have given me 100 repeats. I don't know that I would have ever gotten.
Yeah, that's one of the few questions that I totally missed, because that is beyond a 5-point question. Because The Room is a movie it's not a rewatchable movie, so you'd have to really be paying attention to get that.
Yeah, and also based on Jared Habon's post-game interview, it's not sure that if he was thinking about the Brie Larson movie or Tommy Wiseau.
Oh God, yeah. Have you seen that movie?
I've seen The Disaster Artist.
I bought The Room, man. That was a great New Year's Day watch with us. But yeah, no, you could definitely you could tell where his movie trivia knowledge kind of caps when you confuse the two.
Yeah, and if you have, the unfortunate thing is, if you have two people who know 100% what they're talking about there, I think you have a good chance of getting the answer, just because the two of you are bouncing ideas off each other. But if you're like, okay, Brie Larson, and the other guy is like, Tommy Wiseau, maybe? I think it's just going to make getting that question infinitesimally harder. Yeah,
no kidding. Jared's definitely going to have to do a lot more studying and less watching of Bachelor stuff.
Now, let's talk for a second, though, about the rock stars and Swag.
Yeah.
Because Swag racks up another TKO on their resume. Now they have both their A and their B team have gotten wins. Mm-hmm. The rock stars, the complete opposite, where their A and their B team both have L's on their record now.
Yeah, it's not looking good for the rock stars, I gotta say. I wouldn't have expected them to be doing this poorly this early in the season.
What do you think it's going to take? Because we'll get into predictions in a second. The Rockstars have Stacey Howard next week.
Yeah.
obviously, and they have Alex Damon, who, despite what Rocha said in our interview, I don't think we'll ever lose that belt.
No.
But what do the Rockstars need to do to become competitive? Because it may be outside, slipping farther and farther away for them right now. Because where Corruption still has their top players who still need to play matches, the Rockstars, with the exception of Alex Damon, their top players have played and they've lost.
What I would suggest doing is something that the Fife Club used to do, and that would be just to do group training sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would probably be the way to go. Do like one of these StreamYard or Zoom things, and just do a group study session. I think just kind of like get to know each other, and become a team, and just help each other train, like kind of mesh better. Because outside of Andreyko and Snyder, like it doesn't seem like they're really meshing at all.
I agree with that, and like I think that the communication is definitely something that needs to happen, and it has to. When I think the Rockstars, I think the Odd Couple.
Yeah,
and I think that needs to change, and I think we need to look at it. I think that's. When you look at a faction, you should be looking at everything. When I think of swag, I don't think of one specific player.
Mm-hmm.
But now the Finstock exchange is a little bit different because you think of all of the Horsemen and just Bobby Gucci in general. But I think you need to start looking at who are your up and comers in the Rockstars, or who do you need to trade? Who do you need to cut?
Yeah, no, like. I'm going to bring Oh, where did Dave go? Anyways, I'm going to bring wrestling into this. If you look at all the factions of yesteryear, like DX or everything okay there?
Yep. Just hit my cat. His tail brushed up against my mouse and exited me out of the StreamYard.
Very nice. So yeah, I was just about to say, like, I'm gonna bring wrestling into this a little bit. Like, if you look at like some of the great factions, like you've got the Four Horsemen, you've got Evolution, you've got DX, you've got the original NWO. They were all excellent at what they did. They were the cream of the crop. They were the top. Like Evolution and the Four Horsemen, all four of those members were champions in their own right. I think that's kind of what they need to focus on, is who is going to be your best shot at getting your wins and your titles, and focus on them.
Yeah, and let's move over to Swag, because they are in the opposite situation right now, where with Paulo Yama's got a loss on his record, but other than that, they're performing very well.
Well, there's also RB3 that lost also.
Well, I'm talking about their
top guy. Yeah, fair enough.
Their top talent.
Yeah, no, whatever Winston is doing with those guys, he's doing it right. Like, I don't know what his playbook is, but it seems to be working. I don't know if it's just he's, just always in contact with them, or if they're also doing group study sessions, but whatever he's doing, it's working.
I honestly think that, and I don't know, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I think having someone like a Paulo Yama in your faction and a Chandru really does help, because they are students of the game who can disseminate their knowledge throughout everything. And Halavic's talked for a long time about wanting to be more involved. And I wouldn't be surprised because he is the person on that faction who has the longest running career, if he does not have a lot to share with these new rookies.
Yeah, that's right. He does. Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, based on what I from my interview with Emily, like, it seems like he's very involved in like training and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, that's probably a key right there.
Yeah, so before we get into predictions for next week's match, where do you want to see these two teams go? Obviously, when everything gets back to normal.
Like who I would want to see them go against?
Yeah, let's just go with Rogue 2. Where does Rogue 2 go?
I want to see them probably go against Final Exam.
Oh, Swag v Swag.
Oh, wait, no, you can't do that. Sorry. Cut that out. Deep 13.
Deep 13. All right.
Yeah, I think that would be a very competitive match, kind of like what this one was. And then for the Wicked, I'd pit them against Tom and Paul.
Oh wow. Do you think that would be a competitive match? I agree with your Deep 13 Rogue 2 choice, but do you think, or are you trying to give Tom and Paul a win? Is that what's going on here?
No, I think they're both teams that need they entered in their match with a lot of hype, based on previous performances or whatever. And I think it goes back to earlier. They each have something to prove. So it's just like, who's the hungriest?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think an interesting pairing up. I don't even remember who I was going to say for Rogue 2, but Deep 13 is perfect.
Yeah.
That's a perfect match. Yes. More Alonzo, more Whitney in the Schmoedown. But I would really like to see the Butcher Boys go up against the Wicked.
Yeah, that was my number 2 was the Butcher Boys. Yeah.
I think the Butcher Boys was a team who did not, who under-delivered, but I think has a lot more capabilities in their hands.
Yeah.
Pretty similar to this. I think if the chemistry gets there, I think Wicked could be a very dominant team. And I think Butcher Boys, if they put in a little bit more effort, have the same thing. So they're teams with opposite problems that could meet in the middle somehow.
Yeah, no, that's another great match. Again, it's like another thing of two teams that have something to prove, right?
Yeah.
So no, either one I wouldn't be upset about.
All right. So before we wrap up the show, next week we have Stacey Howard versus Eric Zipper, my personal best friend.
The battle of former teammates.
Were they former Oh,
Corruption last year. Faction mates.
Eric Zipper was never in Corruption.
I'm dumb. I'm sorry.
He was faking Corruption.
Yeah. That's probably what I was thinking of.
Do you want me to cut this bit out, Soda?
No, leave it in. Prove I'm human. Sorry.
He was teamed with Haley Fouch, another redhead. That might be where you're getting confused.
Maybe.
But anyway, so Stacey has been called the queen of upsets, a very streaky player. Mm-hmm. Zipper is a guy who had one amazing match against Haley Fouch, and then has been silent in singles. Where do you see this match going?
Close. I think it comes down to the final question. Maybe overtime.
Oh, wow. Both these players, interestingly enough, have won in overtime.
Yeah. So, no, I think that would probably be the safe bet as it goes final question or beyond.
I personally think Zipper's going to take it based on mostly just on my belief in what the dungeon can do. Mm-hmm. The dungeon needs a win.
Yeah, no kidding.
But honestly, and I think he was someone again who in both iterations of his teams, in his one singles match he's had and in his Inner Geekdom matches, has had a really strong performance across the board where we don't know what Stacey we're going to get. Are we going to get the Stacey that beat Mark Ellis? Because she actually played very, very well in that match. Or are we going to get the Stacey that played in the triple threat against Janine and Draco where she was just getting walked all over?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like, probably the money will be to go on Zipper, but because of what Stacey has pulled off, beating two of the OG Schmoes, more Riley and Ellis, I wouldn't count her out. So it could go either way.
What you got to take into consideration: Zipper's first name is not Mark.
That is true. That is true.
All right. Do you have anything else that you want to add about the match or about upcoming?
Nope. Other than I'm really disappointed that we're actually coming to the end of the pre-tape matches. I wish there was more, but given the circumstances, it is what it is. I hope everyone out there has been watching the Patreon matches because believe me, they're definitely worth the price of Patreon.
Yeah, 100%. But for all you fans who are worried that the Schmoedown is going to maybe run its course and get to the end of their film matches, make sure you subscribe to Schmoes Swords of the North. There's something very interesting coming in a couple weeks.
Do you want to give them a little bit of a tease? Or
I think I gave enough of a tease.
Okay, fair enough.
Come back next week for another tease.
Yeah, and maybe by then maybe next week we'll also pay a little bit of a tribute.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right, Soto, where can the good people find you?
You can find me all across the interwebs at Soda_the_Saxman. Either there or sitting on my couch playing NHL 20 because there's really not much else to do outside of work right now. Be sure to check out our interview with John Roca because that was a highlight for me. Like I said earlier, the dude was amazing. Like nothing was off the table. We had a great time, and full disclosure, after we ended the interview and Roca left, there was a lot of hooting and hollering.
A lot of hooting and hollering was going on. You can find me at Leaves Me Alone on Twitter. But more importantly, make sure you're subscribed to Schmoes of the North. You are following us on Twitter at Northern Schmoes. Listen to us on Anchor. We have a bunch of podcasts. The Frenchie Watches, where our good friend who couldn't be here today, Louis the Frenchie Monette, breaks down a movie either he or a guest has never seen. And Soda, what do you got on Anchor?
I have Ringside Rewind, which is like I said in an interview with Roca, I kind of aped it off of his format a little bit, where it's just two people talking about wrestling. I've watched a lot of it, and I like to bring on people who either haven't watched in years and fell off the train, or have never seen. Yeah, you were on there, and it was a great episode on Bret to Him and Hart versus Mr. Perfect, SummerSlam 1991. Or I could also bring on somebody like who's never watched before, like a Louis. Like Louis was my first guest, so that's kind of what I'm aiming for, and it's a great conversation. You guys should check it out. Like you said, on Anchor, but not just on Anchor. It's also on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. It's all over those places.
Oh my God, we are just like Taylor Swift. We're on Spotify.
Yes, we are.
That might be the only thing we have in common with Taylor Swift, but you know what? I'll take it. And with that, good night, everyone. Make sure you tune in next week.
Yeah, and listen to the Roca interview, man. It's definitely worth it. Cheers.
Worth it. Bye.